Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel and happy November, you guys. I cannot believe that it is already November and that there are only 2 months left of the year. It's crazy. In a way, 2025 feels like it flew by, but it also feels like it was like 1,000 years. So yeah, time is weird. So today is going to be my bi-monthly reading wrap up. I probably could have done this yesterday, but I had a lot of stuff going on yesterday, so I decided to wait until today. So I have, I think, 10 books that I need to talk about. I think I have 4 books that I read in September and then 6 books that I read in October. So like I said, about 10 books total that I'm going to be talking about. And I don't have a physical copy of a couple of these books. So the books that I don't have a physical copy of, I'm just going to put a picture into this video so that way you guys can see what the book looks like in case anybody wants to read it. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. So the first book that I'm going to be talking about is a book that I do not have the physical copy of, and that is Forget Me Not by Stacy Willingham. So Stacy Willingham is a author that I've read before. I actually have read one of her other books called A Flicker in the Dark, and I read that last year in the summer and I really enjoyed it. This was a book that just came out within the last couple of months. I think it came out at the beginning of September-ish, middle of September, and I got to read it as an arc through NetGalley. So as always, thank you so much to NetGalley for this opportunity to read this book. So the book is about a girl whose older sister has been missing for like 20 years almost, and she has decided to kind of just leave her life behind for a little bit and go down to South Carolina just to kind of visit her mom for a little bit, and also just kind of, you know, I don't know, take a break from just her life. And she ends up stumbling upon this farm, and it turns out that it's the same farm that her older sister was actually an employee at the summer that she actually did go missing. So she ends up getting a job there, and things just seem very off. Something's just not quite right. And it kind of just goes from there. I really enjoyed that book. I thought it was a really good book. Like I said, I will enter it probably right here. But I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was a really good story. I really enjoyed Stacy Willingham's writing. I think she is really great at reading a thriller that you could just tell something is not quite right. Like, it's not very in your face. It like slowly progresses as the story goes on. Like, you feel like something's off. Like, even at the beginning of the book, I was like, is this a thriller? This doesn't seem like a thriller. And then as the book progresses, you're like, oh yeah, it's definitely a thriller. And what's cool about this book is that there's actually a dual timeline going on, because our main character actually found this diary in her little house that she's staying at on the farm. And so you're getting the point of view from the person in this diary, but you're also getting the woman's point of view, and you kind of are seeing how it connects from past and present. And I just really enjoyed that part of it. I thought it was really fun, kind of seeing how everything kind of played out. And the twist at the end, I did not see coming. I did not. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, it was definitely an unexpected twist for me, for sure. So yeah, I think I gave it 4.5 stars, I'm pretty sure. I probably could have given it 5 stars, but I decided not to. But I feel like if I were to ever reread that book, it would probably be a 5-star read for me. So yeah. Okay, so the next book that I ended up reading is St. Ambrose School for Girls by Jessica Ward. So this is actually was my first spooky season read, and this is another thriller it's about a girl by the name of Sarah, and she has I think it's bipolar disorder. I think she described it as bipolar with mania. I'm not sure if that's the correct terminology now, but this does take place in the 90s. So that is what she called it. And she gets accepted into this private all-girls school, and she ends up kind of being the target of this mean girl at this school. Like, stuff kind of slowly just starts happening, like little things that is just like where like she's being messed with, and she's just like, okay, like why are you doing this? And the thing about her is that she has a tendency to hallucinate. So she's kind of wondering, and you as the reader are also kind of wondering like what's real and what's not. And it's a very like interesting book. And again, there's a twist that, you know, you kind of really don't see coming towards the end. But the thing is, in the very first chapter of this book, Sarah's like, one of either me or the mean girl ends up dead by the end of the semester. So you're like, okay, so something's gonna go down. So overall, I thought that this book was pretty decent. I think I gave it a 3.5 stars. Like, it wasn't my favorite thriller. And honestly, that kind of comes more to, there was a lot of points in this book where it kind of just felt very icky. And that's honestly the only way I can describe it. There's also a few things in here that if you have triggers, I would definitely recommend looking them up, because the last thing I ever want to do is recommend a book that could cause someone to have, you know, an issue or anything like that. So please, I would say with it, especially any thriller, but specifically with this one, I would definitely recommend just checking your triggers and just making sure that, you know, you are in a good state of mind to read this, or if you need to just skip it if certain triggers are not going to be good for you. Anyway, I feel like it wasn't a bad thriller. It just felt like it was kind of forgetful. Like, it's been almost 2 months since I've read this book, and I just don't really remember a whole lot of it. You know, it was just kind of meh for me. The thing with me that I felt kind of icky with was, our main character, Sarah's, she kind of has this crush on this older, like, RA. And I mean, it wasn't anything crazy. Like, nothing ever really happens, you know, with them. I'm not saying other stuff doesn't go down with this particular RA, but again, like, but again, it was just kind of icky, you know. It was just icky, you know. And I also feel like with Sarah kind of having this issue of like this bipolar with mania kind of issue, you kind of are wondering, okay, is this real? Is she being paranoid? Like, what's going on here? And I mean, like I said, it wasn't the best thriller, but I could definitely feel like it could find its audience for sure. And this is definitely a book that I don't really see a ton of people talking about. So I am glad that I did give it a go. I'm glad that I read it, but you know, it's over, it's done with, and I feel like it's just kind of middle of the road for me. Not great, not horrible, just The next book that I have is another book that I do not have the physical copy of. This book came out, I think it came out at the beginning of October, but I read it as an arc through NetGalley, and I finished it at like the end of September. And it is called The Baby on My Doorstep. And so I will insert a picture of it right here. So this book follows a woman who also has a missing sister, and her sister has been missing for a year. And this whole time she is thinking that it was the ex-boyfriend who did this. Like, something had happened with the ex-boyfriend, and now she's missing, and she's kind of just dealing with that, and she is just slowly trying to accept the fact that she may never come home, until one crazy day, the day actually that she is supposed to have decided to sign her divorce papers to her now ex-husband, because she ended up ruining that relationship. She gets a weird knock at the door, and there's just this baby on her doorstep. Just this baby, nobody else around. And of course she's like, what the heck? So she calls the police, and then she finds out that the baby is actually her sister's child, and it's only like 5 months old, and her sister has been missing for a year. So yeah, the math is not mathing. And so it's pretty much her journey of trying to figure out what happened, where is her sister, you know, how did this baby come into this world, whose baby is it, like, what is going on? And honestly, considering the fact that this was my third thriller that I read in a row, like, I was reading like all these thrillers like all at the same time basically, and this one was probably one of my favorites. I think I also gave this one a 4.5 star because it was just so good. Like, you really didn't know like what the end result was going to be until the end. Like, I definitely did not see the ending coming, and I think it was also just a really cool twist on a thriller, because usually you're just focusing on like a crime, you know, whether it be somebody missing, somebody being unalived, you know, something along those lines. But with this, you have this extra element of having a baby with you. And it was just like such a cool concept. And I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great thriller. I totally recommend it. Like I said, it is out in the world as of last month. So I would definitely give it a read if you are thinking that that would interest you at all, because it was really, really good. All right, the next book that I read, which was my last book for September, was House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. So this book was actually my book club pick for September. I have a book club that I will link down below if you want to join through the Fable app. And it's kind of like a spooky, like, kind of book club where every month we kind of read something that's more on like the spooky side. So this was the book that we ended up going with for September. And it's basically about this woman who has been living in the slums her whole life. And she thinks that the best way to get out of the slums is to become what is known as a blood maid. And a blood maid is basically somebody that bleeds for other people to drink. Yeah, that's not a joke. I am not kidding. I just kicked my camera, but it's fine. But yeah, this was definitely a very great book for spooky season. Like, this was like, yeah, it's not quite vampires, but it has that same kind of vibe as vampires, that it honestly like kind of just makes it like just go with this season, or what was spooky season, because it's now over, so well. I really enjoyed this book, especially like towards the beginning when we're really like setting up the world and everybody's story and everything like that. Like, this was such a good vibes kind of book for like that time of year. The only thing that I would definitely give it a critique on, and I think that's the reason why I gave it 4 stars instead of a higher rating, was because a lot of the book, except for like the third act, is just a lot of just day in the life kind of stuff. There isn't a lot happening in terms of plot. Like, this is definitely one of those books where I feel like if I were to read it, like, it would probably be better because I could pick up on things a little bit more. But at the beginning of the book, it feels like it's just kind of our main character just being a blood maid and kind of how that is. And it, while I was reading it, I was like, is there something that's actually gonna happen, or are we just kind of doing this day in the life thing? Because I'm not mad about it. I don't hate this, but like, is something gonna actually happen? Like, are we gonna have a conflict? And yes, we do have a conflict. Oh boy, do we have a conflict, like, by the end, and you're, you know, really on the edge of your seat for it, but it takes a while for you to kind of get to that point. So yeah, but I do recommend this. Like, if you have a book like if you're not quite ready to let spooky season go, I would definitely recommend this. If you're wanting to kind of get a list going for next year, I would definitely recommend this. And I am really glad that I read it. And shout out to Emma Skies on both TikTok and here on YouTube, who introduced me to this book and this author, because I read this because of her. So yeah, now that we have wrapped up September, let's go ahead and get into October. So like I said, I have 6 books that I read over the course of October. So let's go ahead and start with those. So the first book that I actually read in October was actually a reread, and this is actually the 3rd time that I've read this, and the 3rd year that I have read this, and that is of course Cackle by Rachel Harrison. This was a book that I actually put in my all-time favorites video, so if you wanted to go ahead and check that video out, go for it. I'm really proud of that video. And this is about a girl by the name of Annie who has gone through a really bad breakup, and she moves to this small town in upstate New York and ends up befriending, I should say, a woman by the name of Sophie, who kind of makes her realize a lot of things about herself. I've recommended this book in so many of my videos, so I'm not going to get too much into this book and why I love it, but just know that it's a good book. You know, I still give it a 4-star because it's like it's not the best book that's ever been written, but it's definitely great for like the fall time and like that, especially like that September, early fall kind of vibes. I feel like this is a great way to kind of just ease yourself into the mood of spooky season. And I am very glad that I read this. I actually listened to this in audiobook form, which is the first time I've ever done that. And that was honestly a really fun experience for me, like listening to this instead of just reading it physically. And I really enjoyed it. I thought like the narrators did a very good job, and it kind of really made this whole kind of book come to life in way more of a way than it had in the past. So yeah, like I said, I love this book. I recommend it wholeheartedly, and if you ever want to read it, I would definitely recommend this. All right, the next book that I read is Spells for Lost Things by Jenna Evans Welch. So this is a book about 2 teenagers. One is named Willow, and then the other one is named Noah, I think. Mason. Where did Noah come from? Anyway, Willow and Mason. So Willow has gone through her parents getting divorced, and Mason is a foster child. And both of them have kind of had very complicated relationships with their moms in particular. You know, their moms are either completely absent from their life, or just kind of, in the case of Willow, it feels like they might as well be absent from their life because she's a workaholic. And this book ends up taking both characters to Salem, Massachusetts, which is my dream like vacation. I want to go to Salem so bad. One day I will go. Hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later, but I want to go to Salem really bad, especially during like the fall time. And they end up discovering this house that is actually in Willow's family, and it's getting ready to be sold, and they kind of meet each other. They get to learn more about each other as well as this house, and they end up having to solve a quest together. And this book was just such a fun book. I've had this in my TBR for a long time. I think I got it like at the end of 2023, and I finally read it this year. So it's been a hot minute, and I'm so glad that I finally got to reading it because it was so fun. It was so sweet. It was like witchy enough. It wasn't like the witchiest book ever, but it was still really, really a good book. I actually put this in my witchy books recommendation video. I think I also put Cackle in there as well. And I just love this book. It's a great YA book, and I love the relationship between Willow and Mason. I thought that it was a really good like YA kind of, you know, relationship. I felt like it developed really well. I also loved the relationship that grows with Willow and her mom. I thought that that relationship was done really, really well. It was just such a fun book. And if you're wanting something that's like not witchy, but like has that vibe and is also set in like a fun location, I would totally recommend this because it's just so fun. It's just so fun. All right, next up is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This was my October book club pick. And this is actually, I think it's considered a novella, but it's kind of thick, so I'm not really sure. But the audiobook is only like 4 or 5 hours long. Like, it's not long at all. Like, I got through this in a day, if that tells you anything. And I'm somebody who does not read books in a day, ever. And I read 2 books in one day this last month, which is crazy. So anyway, so this is a story about a woman who ends up becoming like the wife of what we kind of know as Dracula. And it's kind of the story of how she meets him, falls in love with him, kind of becomes part of this like polyamorous like relationship, and then how she ends up ultimately defeating him. And it's just such a cool book. Like I said, I got through this book so fast. I only read this in one day, and it was so good. It really kept me interested. It didn't feel like it dragged on really at all. I really loved every character that was introduced in this book, and it was just overall just a fun, quick read. Because like I said, even though it is not like really a novella-sized kind of book, it still is a very fast-paced book. And I think that's one of the main reasons why the audiobook is only like a few hours long, because you really can get through everything very quickly. And one of the things that I kind of struggle with, like with shorter books or novellas or anything like that, is they sometimes feel like they're way too fast. So I'm not able to really like know anybody, or like things that don't feel as developed as I feel like they should be. But with this, I feel like it didn't have that issue at all. I felt like I got to know every single character. I felt like I got to know the plot really well. So I totally recommend this. I thought that this was really good. I'm so glad that I finally read this, because I've seen it on like bookish social media for a long time, and I thought that this was a great like read for my book club. I thought that it was just kind of a good spooky read, and yeah, I really recommend this. I think that it was great, and it was also my first poly book that I read, which is fun. I think. Is this my first poly book? I think it is. I think. Like where it's like the main story, basically. So yeah, is a book that started out as an arc, but then the release date ended up happening while I was reading it, so I just decided to finish it up physically. And it's also my only 5-star read this month, and that is Recipes for an Unexpected Afterlife by Destin J. Munden. God, this book was so much fun. It was such a fun, cozy fantasy. Like, I could not recommend it enough. So this story follows an orc, and he has been living as a knight pretty much since his entire afterlife. And he ends up getting forced into retirement pretty much, and he is trying to find out what to do now that his, knighthood is over. And so he ends up deciding, I'm gonna open up my own restaurant. And it's kind of him rediscovering who he was when he was alive. And my God, shout out to this amazing author, because he did a phenomenal job with this character. Holy cow. Seeing this character go from this very nervous, very self-doubting character to this very confident orc who owns his own restaurant and develops a relationship with a young child, although I don't think it's an actual child. I think it's some sort of other type of creature, but I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, this was so good, and it was a great cozy fantasy, because one of the things that I struggle with when it comes to cozy fantasies is the balance between the coziness as well as any sort of action or conflict that happens, because a lot of cozy fantasies really struggle with having too much of one thing. And this, I feel like, had a really great balance of it. Like, yeah, there's conflict. There's stuff that happens in this book. And there are things that kind of keep you on the edge of your seat. But at the same time, there's also so many sweet moments, so many heartwarming moments, so many moments that make you just smile. Like, I was smiling so much throughout this book. Like, pretty much the entire time, I had a smile on my face because it's just such a sweet book. And at the end of it, I was like, you know what? This deserves 5 stars. It does. Like, it just, I was like, I can't think of a reason not to give it 5 stars, so why? I'm gonna do it because it deserves it. So, yeah, this book is very recently come out. I think it came out like at the middle of October. So if you have not picked this up yet, I highly, highly recommend it. It is so good. It is so much fun. This is probably going to be a contender for my top read of the year because it's just so good. And I love it so much. I love it so much. So yeah, please read this book. If you take nothing away from this video except for this, read it. Read this, pick it up, figure out a way to get it. I think that you will absolutely love it. All right, next up is actually a book that I annotated, and that is Truly Madly Magically by Hazel Beck. So I've talked about this series so many times on this channel, which is the Witch Lore series by Hazel Beck. And pretty much the overarching story of this series is that it is about a group of witches in a fake city in Missouri, and they pretty much are having to deal with not only their own personal conflicts, but also the conflicts of just the witchy world and things like that. So in this particular story, we are following Elowyn, who is the first narrator that we've had that is not the 2 sisters. In the first story, we are following Emerson, and then in the second story, we are following her sister Rebecca. So this is the first time that we're kind of going out of the family, and I was so excited for Elowyn's story because obviously we knew about like some of the things she was dealing with in the other 2 books, but with this we really got to kind of see a good deep dive into her relationship as well as just her, and it was so good. It was so good. Like, not only did I enjoy like what has become the overarching story about like when it comes to this series, but I also really enjoyed just Elowyn herself, as well as her kind of, you know, relationship that develops with Xander, who is her love interest in this book. I honestly really appreciated their relationship. It felt very realistic to me. It felt like a relationship that I could totally see 2 people having, where it was like they were madly in love, but they couldn't really be together. And that is something that I feel like a lot of people can relate to. And I loved seeing them come together. I love seeing Elowyn just having the growth that she had in this book. And it was just such a great story. I'm very excited for book 4, which I think will be the last book in the series. I feel like that's right. And I'm very excited to see how this series wraps up, because this has become like one of my all-time favorites. I did give this 4.5 stars. I thought it was great, and I just love this series so much. And I do recommend it to people. It is the Witch Lore series. The first book is Small Town Big Magic. The second book is Big Little Spells, and obviously this one is Truly Madly Magically. All right, and last but not least was my Halloween read. So last year on Halloween, I read a novella, which was Graveyard Shift by Emma Rio. So I decided to do the same thing, where I was going to pick up a shorter book that kind of had a spookiness to it. And this time I decided to pick up The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury. And this is actually a book that I listened to in audiobook form. And the audiobook version that I listened to, which was the dramatized version on Audible, it only was like 2 hours, if that. I think with the speed I was listening to was more like an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. So it was a very quick and easy read, and this was such a perfect way to end spooky season. I was definitely a little hesitant about reading Ray Bradbury because I haven't read him since I had to read Fahrenheit 451 when I was in high school, and I was not a huge fan of that book. I felt like a lot of the language that was used really went over my head, and so I was a little nervous about reading more of his writing, but I'm really glad that this was the book that I ended up picking out, because it is, as far as I know, a middle grade book. And it felt like, especially with it being in audiobook form, I was able to kind of really let kind of his like narration. I'm not sure exactly who narrated the audiobook, because it doesn't say who it is on Audible, but I really have to give it to the narrator, because it really helped me more understand like what was being said. I think it also helps that I'm like quite a bit older now and I can process things a lot better, and language isn't as like, I can understand language quite a bit better than I could when I was, you know, in high school. So yeah, so basically what this story is, for anybody who's not familiar with this story or has never seen the special before, that was on like, I think Cartoon Network or something like that. It is about this group of boys who their friend Pipkin tells them to go to this house by the ravine, and they get there and their friend Pipkin disappears. They have no idea where he went, so they end up meeting the owner of this house named Mr. Montrose, and he ends up kind of showing them the history of Halloween while also trying to save their friend Pipkin. And honestly, as someone who loves holidays and loves the history of holidays, like I love any sort of like history, especially when it comes to why do we do these things, like how did this tradition come about. Like this was so up my alley. It was so good. Like, and what I really loved about it was like it took us through a lot of the history that even I didn't know about. Like I had no idea that like we would be going through like ancient Egypt and Rome, Italy. Like we went through a lot of different places like throughout this story, and it was just such a fun book. Like I said, it was a great way to end spooky season. It was a great book to read on Halloween, because at that point I had already given out like all my candy to trick-or-treaters. Like I was like kind of chilling for the rest of the night, and it was just a great way for me to kind of keep that spirit going, you know, for the rest of the night. And it was just such a fun book. I did not see the special, so I'm hoping to find a place that I can watch it. And I really loved it. It is a middle grade book, so it is kind of shallow at times, and it did kind of feel like everything was going like that quickly. And the audiobook definitely threw me off quite a bit, because there was a lot of more sound effects and even singing, which I was totally not expecting. So it was kind of throwing me off quite a bit, but I really did enjoy this. I'm glad I listened to the audiobook, because I think it made it a very fun reading experience. And yeah, I totally recommend this to anybody who is wanting just a fun Halloween read. If you have any children that really love Halloween or kind of want to know the history behind it, this is definitely a book that I would recommend. And I would also recommend to anybody who's wanting to get into Ray Bradbury. I feel like this is a great start because of the fact that it is middle grade, so it is very digestible and just very like a lot more simple than I feel like his other works are. I don't know that for sure. That concludes all of the books that I've read these last couple of months. Overall, I would say that spooky season was a success, although as you notice, I really didn't read that many of the books that were on my spooky season TBR, because of course I didn't. I will get to those books eventually though, but this is also why I don't make TBR videos, because I never stick to them, ever. I did get to a couple, and there are some books that are technically spooky season that I just haven't finished yet, but that's okay. So yeah, this next wrap up will be the last 2 months of this year, so expect a lot of exciting videos to come up very, very soon, because I not only am going to have like my like bi-monthly wrap up, but I'm also going to have a lot of special videos of like, you know, my top reads of the year, and I think I have a lot of video ideas kind of going through my head of what I want to do. So I am very excited, and also we are going to be coming up soon on the 1-year anniversary of me having this channel, which is crazy. So yeah. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys had an amazing day. I hope you guys had a great Halloween if you celebrated, and I will see you guys in the next video. So yeah, bye you guys.